Hey, 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 hey! Welcome to Creative Block. We're your hosts, Gene.
And V, we interview people in the animation industry about their life, work, and hobbies while we doodle jam.
We asked people on Twitter if they had specific topics they wanted us to discuss, as well as some drawing prompts.
And today with us, we have Stefani Rizo. Hey!
Hey, hey
Hey!
guys.
How's it going?
I'm good. Just chilling with you guys. Ready to doodle.
Yeah, just a nice Sunday. It's a little overcast
Yeah,
in LA.
yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't really talked to anybody in a while, so
Oh, yeah?
yeah. The quarantine,
That's quarantine life, huh?
Yeah, yep.
This whole show was an excuse for us to just talk with friends because nobody
Right?
nobody was answering our messages, right? And so we were
Yeah,
like, maybe if we do a podcast, people want to be friends with us again finally.
exactly.
We're popular. We're popular, everyone. That's
Yeah, we're so popular. Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. We're really excited to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
I first met you when we were both working at Sony Animation
hmm
Pictures. Picture
hmm
animation. That's in
We
that order.
we both started at the same time.
Yeah, we had like
Yeah,
the same first day. We like
yeah,
walked
yeah,
together to that same little office to get our pictures taken.
yeah. It took us everywhere, like the whole tour and everything. Yeah.
So you started like I knew you, I've always known you as a story artist, but like, you've done like a bunch of
Mhm.
other stuff like character design. You've also done like the
Yeah.
Disney internship for story.
Yeah, yeah, for story. Yeah, so before I was doing story, I was doing character design. Like that's what I was like studying. So storyboarding kind of just like fell into like my path of like getting to animation. So
And I think that's really cool because I think, like sometimes, we do think like we have to choose a career like when we're still in school and like
hmm
and that it's gonna be that one or nothing. But I like that. I like that about your career. So let's take it back all the way to your very far away past. what,
Your your tragic backstory.
exactly.
well, started off with my mom and my dad, and they made
Yeah. How did that happen? Tell us about that.
and they just met. Sorry, go on.
Where'd you grow up, actually?
So I grew up in Orange County. I'm from like Newport Beach, I guess, like more down in
Okay.
Southern California. And yeah, I've lived here my whole life, except I did move to Mexico for like 2 years when I was little. But then I came
hmm
back, and yeah, I just
Oh, how old were you when you moved back to Mexico?
I was two, I think. Yeah, I was like 2 years
Oh
old.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I was there
A
until like
baby.
yeah, I was a baby. I don't remember much, except that my mom tells me I like to like pick a lot of like animals off the street and bring them home.
Oh.
So like lizards and like all the kind of
Oh.
like the gross animals. But that's
Oh, great.
all I can really remember when I was like little in Mexico. So yeah, I think that's when it started when I was like obsessing with animals and wanting to draw them later on.
Oh,
hmm
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because would you say that's kind of like what got you into drawing? Would be like your love of animals?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's something like so fun to like draw animals and like learn about them. And my dad also like draws, so I kind of like picked it up from him.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. But he never did like professionally, but he likes painting and like kind of just as a hobby. And I thought it was
hmm
really cool that like he like could draw things, and I was like, I want to learn how to draw too. But his were more like realistic, and I just went like really cartoony. So kind of like the
Sure.
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he like encourage you growing up to kind of pursue it?
Yes and no. It was kind of like he was excited that I liked doing it, but I don't think they really ever thought I could do it as a career, like
Sure.
professionally.
Yeah.
Until later on, I kind of
Yeah.
had to be like, hey, like I can get paid. Like, look, I could do this
Right. Yeah.
thing.
Right.
But of course, like a lot of parents, like they're like concerned, in art, like
Yeah.
career. And they just kind of like, okay, maybe she'll just have that as a hobby and she'll study something else. But I was never really good at school, so I just stuck with like drawing. And I figured I'm like, well, if there's a job out there for drawing, I can like just do that. I don't want to do math
hmm
or anything hard or or like
Yeah.
I don't know. I took like the easy way,
Did you-
right?
But drawing is hard though.
But drawing is hard.
Drawing is
It is
hard.
hard, but like I was like, man, like 4 years. If I want to study something for 4 years or like six with like, because I wanted to be a veterinarian, and I was like, maybe I'll do that.
Hmm.
And then I saw how long it took. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I can do that for like
Yeah,
6 years.
yeah.
Even though it would have been worth it, but like I was like, I don't know if I could do that. I like drawing more. I'll just draw the
Sure. If you're
animals.
spending that much time on something, you want to. Hopefully,
Yeah.
you'll actually enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Of studying it.
Exactly. So I was like, I'll just dive into drawing.
So was drawing kind of, or I guess art in general, was that kind of a backup plan for a bit, or was there just like a moment where you were thinking of being a vet?
I think it was like a backup for a little bit. I did want to do like study animals, and then
Right.
but once I like was looking it up, I just figured out I would just do drawing and look at that path and like be like, oh, people can get paid doing animation. Like I want to do that. Let's see if I can
Yeah.
do that.
How old were you when you figured out that you could get paid doing animation?
I want to say it was like 10. I remember I kind of recently was thinking about this the other day. My mom took me and my sister a lot to the library, and I would always try to go to like the art section to like how to draw characters or like how to draw
Sure. Yeah.
from like Christopher. What's his that one? It's just one like artist, like the Christopher or something.
I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah.
yeah.
I forget the name.
That one. And then I found one of the first art of books I found was from Tarzan, and it was like this long like landscape book, and I opened it and I was like, what is this? And it was like all art of Tarzan, and like the drawings and sketches, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like I want to do this. And I read in the
Yeah.
back and it was like Glenn Keane and like all these other artists that like worked on it and were like animators and were working like in LA, and I was like, wow, like I want to do that. Like I want to be able to work at Disney, because it was like all from Disney. So I made it my goal. I was like, when I grow up, like I want to work at Disney and make movies. So I kind of like went through that path from that age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to work at Disney yet?
I did when I did the training program. I did the
Right.
story training program. So it was like a whole year of working there. And
They pay you for that, right? That's not like an okay.
yeah, they paid me, which is great. I was actually really happy that they were paying the trainings. But yeah,
sure.
that was a great experience. Like being able to work in there, like it blew my mind. I'm like, I'm actually here. This is crazy. Like I'm inside the building, inside like the Mickey. But yeah, it was pretty cool getting to that point.
When you were middle school or high school, did you ever take art classes like at school or like extracurricular, or did you mostly just like draw by yourself?
Yeah, I remember like sophomore year I started taking art classes there, because they offered like art 1 and art 2 like in high school, but it was all very traditional things. And I mean I appreciate it because I got to learn like the super basic like fundamentals of like when you're cross hashing or like like really basic things. And then on the side I would always like check out the books of like how to draw cartoons or like comics. So I was like doing stuff like at home, and then at school it was more of like traditional, like painting and like colors and all that. So yeah, that's what I was
That's really
doing.
cool.
Yeah.
And how did you think about reaching that goal? Like, did you join communities online, or did you just kind of like try to follow the like go to college kind of path?
Well, yeah, I think like in high school I was looking up art colleges, and the very first one I found out was like Laguna College of Art and Design. But I realized that like it was really expensive, and I had to have scholarships. So I was like trying to figure out like how I can do that, and I knew my grades weren't that good, so I had to like work on my portfolio. And then even though when I graduated from high school, I knew I couldn't go like right away, so I went to community college to do like my general ed. And that was my goal though. Yeah, that was my goal though. I was like, okay, I'm going to do my general ed and then transfer to Laguna. And then I did that. I was able to like transfer, and I was like really excited to go there, but it was still really expensive and I didn't. And the year that I got into, like all the good teachers I had heard of were just leaving as well. Like a lot of teachers were leaving. And so when I got there, I'm like, I'm getting all these new teachers, and like this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And like I know fundamentals is like it's like key to have, and I had to do them over again even though I did it in college. And I was like, I feel like I'm kind of spending a lot of money on doing these classes again, even though I already did them. And some teachers were not really teaching it well. They were showing a lot of videos that you can literally just find online. And I was like, you know what?
Oh yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm spending so much money on like the first semester. I can do this at home. Like I can go back to college, take more art classes, and like learn at home. And I was like, I'm just gonna do that. So I dropped out. I was there for 8 weeks. I dropped out of Laguna.
Damn.
Yeah, it was me and my friend were there. He stayed there for a year and then he dropped out too, because he felt the same way. And I was like, yeah, I think we're spending too much money on art
Sure.
school.
Yeah, if you feel like you don't need it.
Yeah,
That's really smart. I like that you were able to make that decision then, like, and you went back to the community college that you were
yeah,
going to?
yeah. I went to Orange Coast College, and it was super close to like where I live. But I
That's
just
nice, yeah.
lost the train of thought I was gonna say. But anyways, oh yeah, that's. I went back, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do this on my own. I've always told people that if they have like if their parents are able to pay for them, or if they get a full ride scholarship, like I think they should go for it and do the art
Yeah.
school. Like if you're privileged enough to do that, like do it. But in my
Yeah,
case, like
yeah.
I didn't really get enough scholarship, and my parents were going to be helping me pay the loan, but I knew that I'm like, this is going to be a lot of money. Like I can't do that to them.
Yeah.
And like, I think I can take a different route. And I did that. That's like a reason why too that I left. And I was like, I'll just try to, even though it might be a little bit harder, like I'll just take this route of like teaching myself or doing online classes and going back to like community college.
Yeah, it's hard. If you can afford it, obviously,
Mhm.
great, go for it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
to force people that are not of means to try to stick it through. It's like you're just setting people up for this debt, for this insane amount
Yeah,
of debt, and
yeah,
like, how are you supposed to make a career when you're just barely paying rent?
And
exactly.
especially if you like, they're just showing you YouTube videos. I think like that's kind
Yeah.
of that's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
No.
for
Yeah,
sure.
and how was the college that you went to? Like, did they kind of have any classes that were close to animation or cartooning, or was it all kind of like fine art, like fundamentals and like kind of classic drawing?
Yeah, so they kind of had like everything that you just mentioned. So I found this like program called Narrative Illustration program. So when I was there for like about 3 to 4 years, they didn't have anything like focused in animation or entertainment, and that was the closest thing to it. And all the classes were about like learning about composition and a little bit of character design, like storytelling. What else? Painting, like color, like some basic things, but it all was like storytelling. And I'm like, maybe I can just do this route and then still do classes online so I can kind of like mix them together and make my own kind of like curriculum, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
And but then I started exploring more classes there in college. Like I took like printmaking and cartooning. There was a cartooning class 1 and 2,
Mm.
and a perspective class as well, like on the
Mm.
weekend. So the first 2 years I didn't work during college. Like financial aid helped me a lot, so I didn't have to like pay for classes, and I was just taking as many classes
Hmm.
I wanted to. So I was taking advantage of that, and I was like, just give me all the art classes that I can take, and that's what I loved about
Mhm.
college too, or community college, is that like you could take these extra classes, and in art school, because it's so focused, you can't really explore these other like extra like art, I guess. How to explain it? Like you can't
Mhm.
really take like graphic design or typography if you were like you wanted to explore that, because you had to like focus
Yeah,
on
because the curriculum is
yeah,
already made for you. Like in art
yeah.
college, it's like they're already like picking everything for you, but like in community college, you're more free to choose.
Like I understand why they do that, like in art school, but I just think like I don't know, you kind of miss out on something that like you might be interested in. I don't know. It's like, but yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, that's really, really interesting. Especially that you were able to like go to both and kind of like compare and contrast.
hmm
So how long did you attend that the community college that you went to?
I was there for like 5 years. I was there for 2, and then I transferred, and then I went back for like another 3 years of doing the like the
Mm.
certificate. And then while I was there, then I started working at Starbucks, so then I can pay like my other classes. Once like my financial aid like was done, I had to like pay those classes. So I actually started working on campus, Starbucks right there, and and I just became like really good friends with all the art teachers, and like I made groups of friends as well. Like the community there was really nice. That's where I met my friend like Matt and Victor, and just like these other artists that were wanted to do animation as well or gaming. So we were always like hanging out and like trying to figure out like what we could do to just up our game. And we started going to like CTN, what is it called again? Creative Talent Network.
Oh, I don't even remember.
That thing.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, CTN, whatever
CTN,
it is.
Expo. And it was really fun. It was like 2014 around that time, like when we were going a lot. And everyone we were showing our portfolio around and getting feedback, and then feeling like we still had to work on stuff. But it was really nice to just find people in college that were like into it as well, and we were always like motivating each other to just like learn more.
Yeah, finding that little like network is huge.
And I knew it was important because I know in art schools, like going back to art schools, like you have that, right? Like everyone's doing art and you have all the resources. So in community college, like even though we found ourselves there, we were sharing like podcasts and like online classes that we thought, or just like any resources that we would help us, we would like share it with each other. So yeah, I like that spider.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that definitely for people that have like succeeded, like breaking into the animation industry, I feel like everyone always had at some point or another like that community, right, of like other very driven artists. Like I think either you find it, like you said, through your classmates, or maybe like through an online community, but at the end of the day, it's just like having this like small group of people that is pushing each other to do better.
Yeah, and in art school too. I mean, even though I was only there for 8 weeks, like everyone seemed really competitive. Like really like, oh, like my art is better than yours, and it's like we're all gonna be in the same place at one point. Like, we're gonna be working together. Like, I don't understand why you're being so like.
Well, you know, some people have a bad attitude.
So I was like, peace, I'm leaving. Like, bye.
That the first sign of that, you're like, fuck this.
Yeah, I was like, bye. Yeah.
That's so funny. And so you went to CTN with your friends, and kind of how was for you that moment between ending your education in college and finding your first gig, and also kind of like what kind of gigs did you get? Like, what were the first kind of gigs that you got, art related?
Right. So like after I finished college, I couldn't find anything. Well, I was doing a little bit of freelances, but they were maybe like a week or two like long, and they were like small studios. One of the first one was what is it called? Something with like records. They asked me to do these animation GIFs, and I got paid for that, and I was like, I don't even know how to animate that well, but whatever. I'll say I know how to do this. And it was, and I was like sweaty. I was like, okay, I gotta animate these things. But yeah, that was one of like, I was just getting like little freelances here and there, but nothing that would be like that I can like pay bills with, you know. And so I was trying to figure out like what I was gonna do. Since I had finished college, I was like, I'm not finding anything. I'm applying to internships, and I wouldn't get internships. I wouldn't get like any of the training programs yet, and I was applying to studios, and like they were like rejected all the time. And I knew I still had to work on my portfolio because like what I had was more illustration than character design. So CTN helped a lot, like when I showed my portfolio. So going there did kind of like push me on the right path to like what I wanted to do. But there was still like a lot of work I had to do with, especially with character design. Like a lot of people were saying like, oh, it's really hard to get into character design. I was like, I know, but I really want to do it. They're like, okay, well, you have to keep like drawing and doing these, like your portfolio, you know? And then I was working at Starbucks for like 3 years, and I remember thinking like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, if I can't find anything in a year, I'm just going to be a barista like the whole time. I like gave myself a timeline. I was like, if I don't get any freelance or studio job, like I'm just going to I enjoyed making coffee. Like I was getting like really into it. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I'll do this. Like this sounds really fun. I could probably make a career out of this.
Yeah, from what I hear, Starbucks is really good to their employees too. It's like a
Yeah.
good job to keep. They have benefits. Like it's a
Hmm.
good like grinding to get your dream, but still
Yeah.
need it insurance.
Grinding.
I get
Ah,
it.
ah!
They really let me express myself. Never mind. Bad pun. It was a bad pun.
I
Anyways,
liked it. It took
okay.
me a second. It took me a second,
Espresso
but I
yourself.
liked
Yeah, I
espresso.
just
Yeah,
I
realized
had
that.
to throw in my.
took me a second.
um,
Somebody is really good with
no,
puns, you guys. Like,
it's been a year. I'm like dry. Like
You're you're a little rusty,
a
but I
little
like it.
rusty. Yeah. I was gonna say, you mean roasty because of the being. Never mind. I'm
Ah! Ah!
done. I make them so people get
man,
annoyed about
yeah, I
it.
was so jealous. Like at the office, like you were just like cranking out puns, dude. I'm like, wow, yeah. Wait, like it's been that pandemic.
I enjoy when people like roll their eyes because they're like, "Are for reals?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like,
Yeah, that whole thing, the weird like stigma against puns is bizarre to me. Like people get so like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" And it's like, why is it any better than your stupid dick joke, dude? Like I don't know. It's just like
I love that.
puns require to be clever and like you have to actually think.
right?
And I feel like most humor I hear in the office is like pathetic. I like puns. Hey, I'm a pun supporter, and I think puns are great comedy.
Okay, we need a pin with that pun supporter.
Pun supporter. A pun pin.
Pun pin.
Pun pin.
My gift. See, your gift is puns. My gift is coming up with zingy little like names for things.
Oh my god, I love that. Okay.
Anyway, what the hell are we talking about?
Being a barista, almost
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
that as a career. Yeah. So I almost like went down that path, and I actually thought about it. Like you were saying, it sounds fun. Like it would have been really fun too. But
Sure.
I gave myself a timeline, and I was like, okay, if I don't find something in like, let's say 6 months, then that's it, and I'll become a barista. So
Damn, 6 months.
yeah,
That's
I
a
know,
rough timeline.
I know.
Yeah, dude. This is like an anime.
It seems like not a lot of time, but I was like, it's the only way to motivate myself. Like, who else is gonna tell me to
Oh,
do
okay.
it, you know? So, and also, I kind of had like small pressure of my parents because they weren't seeing that I was doing anything with what I had been doing for like the past 3.5 years. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, I need to show them that I can get a job in animation, and I just need to, that's what I want to do. So I worked on my portfolio. I went back to CTN a lot, and I actually what helped me a lot was I don't know if you guys heard of Chris Oatley Academy. Have you heard of him?
Oh, Chris Oatley?
Yeah, Chris Oatley Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I remember his name. I think it's like it's pretty popular online program. Right?
Yeah, he has a podcast as well. I don't know
Hmm.
if he's super like active on it now, but before he had like a lot of episodes like almost every week, and he had a visual development portfolio class, and I took it, and I actually thought he was going to teach you how to draw, but he taught you more of like how to put your portfolio together and understanding like what your job is as a character designer or visual development. And I thought it was really helpful, and I was like, okay, this is something that I feel like people need to learn, and I need to learn too, about like, because it's not just about drawing, it's about like knowing what your job is going to be in animation, like how to problem solve and storytell and like what people are looking for. And I understood that like when people are looking for somebody for a movie or a project, it's kind of like a casting thing, right? Like where they're just seeing like who can fit into the project with them, and not so much of like your drawing skill, I guess. It's kind of like a balance between that. And so I took the class, and I was putting my portfolio together, and that kind of like helped me a lot of sort of understand like what I wanted to do with character design. And I saw improvement when I showed it at CTN and like showed it to other people. And I don't know, it just kind of like helped my brain understand what it was going to be like to work in animation. So I recommend if anybody wants to take that class on his website, I'm not sponsored by him or anything, but I was just saying, Chris, like,
No, but we should be. Sponsor us.
Sponsored by Chris. No, but yeah, his that was really cool, and schoolism helped a lot too. So I kind of just like focused on that, and I picked out like a story to like do designs for, and then let's see. I feel like I'm missing something from my life. Oh, so okay. So one of my friends went to Cal State Fullerton. He transferred over there and he did the animation program. And they have a club called Pencil Mileage Club, or PMC. And I started sneaking into those artist talks because they would have people come over and talk about their experiences. And then they would like kind of like give out like books or prints or anything that they had. But it was really cool to listen to kind of like their experiences as well. Kind of like how I'm talking about it right now, but before like hearing them. And one of the panels, they had an alumni. So they had people had worked at like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. And one of them was a recruiter from Disney, and Matt Roberts. And I was like, oh, maybe if like I talk to him, like he'll know my name, and like I don't know, something could happen. And I also had been working on this like project on the side with a partner of mine back in college, and we made a book out of it. And at the end of that night of the talk, I gave him that book, and he really liked it. And like I didn't hear anything back from him, but then later, after a couple of months, he contacted me asking if I was interested in applying to the story training program at Disney. And I wasn't sure because I was like, I'm not doing story, I'm doing character design. But I guess if he's asking me, like, it could be, you know, like an opportunity to just like kind of like get into animation. But I didn't know, so I was like, sure, like I'll apply to that. And he's like, yeah, you just need to have like your storyboards and apply and like all these things. I'm like, I don't have any storyboards. Like, how am I supposed to apply? And I had about like a month to put up a storyboard portfolio and apply. And I really didn't think I was going to get in. Yeah, and I was like, I don't know what to do. So I took like the designs I had before and this like story that schoolism had with the class I took. It was like about a cat and like his mom throwing a shoe at him. Like it's a very like Spanish story where like moms throw shoes at you when they're mad at you. Anyways, so
is that a thing? Is this a thing?
Yeah. It's called La Chancla, where like if they're mad at you, they'll take like their sandal or whatever shoe they're wearing, really, and they'll throw it at you wherever you are.
I love that this is apparently like a recurring thing in that culture. Oh, I mean, you know, moms will just throw shoes.
You know, my mom never really did that to me. But I mean, I've heard stories from other friends, so I think it's.
No, I mean, I think I have too. Yeah, I think I've heard that. What a thing! All right.
There's TikTok videos about it.
Yeah, there are TikTok videos.
Oh, well, that's how you know it's real.
Yeah, you know it's real. And in this story, it's exaggerated, where like the mom throws a sandal, and it like he's running away like miles, and the sandal's still like after him, after like running away.
Right. Okay,
and, until like he gets hit at the end, and I just kind of like made up this like cat was like stealing things from his mom, and like he was. Anyways, it was just like a little story.
Yeah, that's cute. Yeah.
I applied and I didn't hear anything back after a couple of months. I was like, I probably didn't get it because like I'm sure other people that have been doing this for a while like are gonna get in or something. And he asked me if I wanted to do an interview at Disney, and I was like, okay. So I went in and they interviewed me, and it was really awkward because it was like my first time going in there, and it was like these like glass rooms, like glass door rooms, and you know like those like really corporate rooms where they have like long tables.
Yes.
It was like that, and then there was like maybe 6 people in each side, and I was like, why are there so many people in this interview? And it's only me. Like, what's going on? And they were just asking like basic questions, like getting to know me. And one of the questions, I felt so embarrassed. One of the questions was that like, what was a movie that, a guilty pleasure movie, right? So in my mind, I thought it was like a movie that I liked to watch a lot of times. So I said, Emperor's New Groove, and they're like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, oh, they meant like a bad movie that like people don't like, and it's like a guilty pleasure movie. But anyways,
I mean, I don't know.
I was like, oh, I don't think I understand the question, and they were like, why do you think it's like not that good? I'm like, no, I actually really like it. I feel like not a lot of people watch the movie. They're like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And I thought I blew it. I was like, great. I didn't understand the question, and I was like, oh man. Anyways, but after that,
I think it's fine. Yeah, I can imagine. I understand why you felt that, but I feel like they probably were just like, okay, cool. They probably didn't think that hard about it even.
I noticed that I didn't answer right, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But
Sure.
After that, like weeks passed by too, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And then he called me again, saying like, hey, like, do you want to do the program? Like, you're in, and I was like, oh no way. So
Cool.
that's how like I got that opportunity, but it took a while. Like I had finished college, and then like 3 years passed, and I wasn't really doing like I didn't find any jobs, and it took a while to like get to that spot. And all I was doing was like little small freelances, and I was actually really active on Instagram. I was doing a lot of like shape exercises, and I was like making stickers and books, and that was kind of fun too. And like
cool.
I was trying to figure out like a way to get noticed on Instagram. So I was just like trying to draw as much as I could before all this like algorithm stuff like messed everything.
Yeah.
Right. How did you kind of come up with that idea of like doing the shape exercise like daily? Because you were posting every day, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. So since I couldn't find anything, I was like really depressed. I laughed because like I'm like, yeah, I was just like down. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I was like, might as well just do like warm up, something that like makes me happy to do, and if anybody gets something out of it, like at least I'm making somebody happy or some people happy too, if they're feeling the same way. So yeah, I would just go to coffee shops and like do random shapes and like pick a topic, kind of like how we're doing here in a way, like prompts.
Yeah.
And then just like drew animals, and people just kind of like reacted really well to it, and so I just started doing them like daily. And then it kind of was like Inktober. I felt like it was Inktober, where I'm like, let me just do it for like a month and see if I can do it throughout the whole month. And that helped a lot. Like it helped me with like my mental health and also just like people's support with that. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll make a book out of it too. So I think it'll be fun to sort of like look through what I did throughout like that month.
Sure.
But yeah, that's kind of like how I did that.
I do agree that like I feel like challenges. Well, Inktober kind of grew too big, but I feel like for me, Inktober was really the challenge at the time. It was like 2014 or 2015 that really helped me kind of that people started paying attention to my art, and I feel like finding a fun little challenge like that to do during a month and posting every day is like a really great way of just kind of like motivating yourself. And I feel like usually those help a lot with those challenges help a lot with just kind of getting on like the industry's radar.
Yes, because people are watching. The Inktober is so bizarre because it stopped being about ink. Like it started as like, hey, this is a chance for people to like practice actual physical media inking. And now it's to the point where people are just like, I drew this fully colored piece in Photoshop, Inktober, and I'm like, no, it's not. Like, don't like hijack this hashtag for your fucking drawing. And then they'll get defensive and like get all pissy about it.
So I did Inktober, but I did it digitally.
Okay.
But wait, I don't know if who'll believe me or not, but like what I did was I tried not to erase anything. Like I meant to make it look like it was so like you were ink.
Still, you were creating a challenge for yourself. Yeah, I think that's great.
So don't hate me, Jay.
I think it's like at the end of the day, it's mostly about like, I mean, it's like every big hashtag. When like a hashtag gets too big, then like you're not gonna like keep the control over it. And at the end of the day, it was created for artists to just have like a fun little challenge to do. So as long as you're getting something out of it,
Sure. I honestly, and the only reason I even complain about it is because I've seen interactions where people would get, like I said, they would get defensive about it, and it's like, dude, like if you want to use the hashtag, by all means, like nobody's policing the hashtag, but if you're gonna get upset about other people trying to like point it out, it's like, I don't know. Anyway, whatever.
Drama.
That's my
I
hill.
think people should just be honest how long it took them and like how, like, because Inktober is
Oh
kind of like
boy,
a quick thing,
yeah.
right? And it's like, you didn't do
Yeah.
this in a little time. Like, this took you like 2 days probably. Like,
This is a full piece.
yeah.
I think also just like what you said, Stephanie, like the whole thing about like proving to yourself you can do something for a whole month. I think that's like a really nice thing because it's like, oh, I actually am an artist. Like I can do this every day. Like this is not a hobby. Like, there's also like that aspect
Right.
of it.
It's kind of like exercise, right? I mean, I try to do this for exercise and I fail. But like you're like, okay, for a month, let me try to do this. And like it kind of helps that motivation again. And even if you do fail, like at least you tried a little bit, like for a couple of days. And
Yeah,
it just kind of like helps.
I mean, to see it as I don't think it's fair if it's to consider it a failure. I do the same thing, so I get it.
Right.
I always do that with hourly comics where I'm like, this is it. This is the year. and then I do like 2 hours worth. And then I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like I failed, but everyone's like, yeah, but you're not getting paid to do this.
Right.
Nobody cares. So it's like, whatever. Like if you had fun for those first two,
yeah, that's
all
true,
that matters.
yeah.
Because it's hard. It's really hard to maintain drawing a day for 30 days. I've only done Inktober once where I actually stuck it through, and that was in like 2014 or 13 or something. It was ages ago. I can't believe it's even been around that long. And I was riding the train a lot, so I just like had the time.
Right.
I don't know how anybody does it when, if they don't have that time like built in. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like definitely you need to like make the time for it because when I was doing Inktober, like I needed at least an hour, 1 or 2 hours to complete a piece. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also like you make the time for it. I think. I mean, honestly, when I was doing Inktober, like back in the 2014, I feel like we really only had Tumblr around and then like Instagram a little bit. Like Twitter wasn't that big. Like I feel like I started using Twitter. When did I start using Twitter? Like probably a couple years back because I was looking for a platform that I could just post anything, like any kind of sketches, any kind of like dumpy looking kind of. And then I got some followers and then I was just like, well, I gotta make this look nice now.
For the followers.
Yeah, like I mean, not a lot, but I don't know.
Yeah.
One day you post something that is good, and then you're like, gosh, dang it, what did I do now?
Now people will expect things from me.
Yeah. Oh my god, I feel that too so bad. And then I'm like, what did I do? I don't post like this all the time. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna not post like forever. Until.
Yeah, it's like that's so true though. It's so hard. I do feel like that. Like you're always like, well, I can do something better next. I can do something better, and then like one day you actually do like something that's like super fucking detailed and like super well drawn, and then you're like, this took me hours. I'm never gonna do. Yeah, why did I back myself in this corner?
And then that gets like 10 likes, and you're like, oh,
yeah.
great. The thing that I spent the most, and then you do like a shitty, like a sketch, and it's some meme shit, and everyone loves it. And you're like, man, that's Twitter. We were talking about it a little bit before we came on the show, and like how different social media has we found different. Each of us has kind of a different take on it, and I think that's interesting because like Stephanie, you're like doing way better on Instagram than on Twitter.
Right.
But you said you've only been on Twitter for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not really active on there as well. Like sometimes I feel like it's just there's so many opinions. Like there's just so much drama.
God.
There's so much drama, and I'm like, I don't want the drama.
It's exhausting.
That I'm just like, I'm just gonna like read. I'll enjoy reading people.
Honestly, just stay away if you don't. If you don't, if you already have an audience elsewhere, like who needs it?
Yeah.
It's brutal.
But I do like it's. I follow a lot of like people that are funny and stuff on Twitter, and like that's really fun to just read.
Yes.
Or like get informed about things. But then I have to like look into more because I'm like, is this real? I don't know.
I was gonna say like it's nice at first, but then you realize everyone's lying, and you're like, oh, this is not a reliable source, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
People just pull information out of nowhere.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like as far as like a lying, but there's definitely it's very emotional. Like
Hmm.
Twitter is very emotional.
And that's I'm afraid of like sharing something like my opinion. Every time I have that feeling, I'm like, I'm gonna share what I think about this thing, and then I erase it. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm like, nope. Like I
Yeah,
don't want
well,
any. I was like, nah.
I do that a lot. I'll write out a tweet and then I'm just like, this is gonna cause problems. Like
Right?
some asshole. It's so I'll sometimes an opinion will break through and I'm like, fuck it, boom, like tweet it. Here we go.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think the Joker was bad movie, and then people who don't even fucking follow me will just appear and they're like, you piece of shit, you don't know fucking anything, and I'm like. Like why are you even talking to me? You don't follow me. Like what is your agenda here?
yeah.
But yeah, it sucks. But I have way more engagement on that than on Instagram, and I think it's because it's just like it's really hard for me. It's really hard to maintain a practically daily upload schedule, which is what it seems like you need on Instagram these days.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And Twitter, it's like you can still interact with people, you can retweet things, you can't really share stuff on Instagram. We were talking about that a little bit
Right.
too, and V had an idea that I liked.
Oh yeah. So if anyone's listening to the site, if you're working for Instagram,
If Instagram is listening,
Check this out. Listen.
the idea.
here's a pitch.
What if there was a tab on Instagram where it would just be like reposting, like you could just like do the same thing as retweeting, but it would be just like basically reposting all of the art that you think is really cool. I guess it is
Right.
the bookmarks, but the bookmarks is like super hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. That's private, I think.
Yeah.
Is it private
yeah.
or is it like public?
It's
God, I hope it's
private.
private.
Yeah.
I gotta,
Why do you?
I gotta go back
I'll
in
be
there
right
if it's
back.
not
Hold on,
private.
wait.
Yeah, hold on, pause. I gotta clean up my bookmarks. I think it's a great idea. I think that like let's be real. Like social media is about sharing,
Yeah.
and that's what was great about Tumblr. That's what's one of the few things that's good about Twitter. And Instagram
Yeah.
doesn't really have it because
Yeah.
the stories don't. It's
And
not-
then you have like all these accounts that are just like reposting all the art and
Yeah.
reaping all the benefits of
And-
all, like artists, and I'm like, that sucks, man. You know,
And
like
what I like about the idea too is that like I've noticed that if you want to add a link, like you can't add the link on the comment.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't work. I think that's dumb.
Oh,
Like if you post and
Yeah.
then it's,
yeah, they really hate links.
oh, you hate links.
No, they hate links.
Oh, they hate
like,
links,
Instagram
yeah.
really seems to not want you to post links, and it's like
Yeah.
you can't expect people to only for it to be that insular where it's like everything I do is on Instagram, nothing I do is outside of it. You have to like link in bio, and that's a mess. And then you gotta have like link trees. It's like if you need a separate service,
Oh yeah, link trees.
yeah, if you need a separate service to just have more than one link, like you fucked up. That's shitty. That's I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that is that's annoying.
It's bizarre. Anyway, but you've done well for yourself on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean I don't post as much right now as like often like I did before. But yeah, like I was constantly like trying to do like every other day, like I was like posting something.
That's amazing.
But-
That's a lot.
But then it was a lot, and I was like, man, like I don't know what to draw, and then like sometimes I just don't want to draw for people, I guess, just like for me, and I don't want to share it. Like I just want to keep it for myself. But then I have that pressure of like, okay, I need to draw something like an alligator or something to just like share. Or like you guys are saying, like on the stories, like I just want to share it on my stories. Like I don't want to make it an official like post. But then I don't know how many people look at the
Right.
stories, and I don't know if that counts as well. Like I don't know. It's yeah.
I do think stories, like I don't know, like I do think stories do count, like for the algorithm and stuff. But yeah, it's insane. Yeah, like now it's like you actually have to think about it. Like I kind of miss the times when like we could just like post and it was just like share.
I think because people have looked at it like, well, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I used to use it as a portfolio, and I kind of sort of do still, but it's more of just kind of like, here's some stuff I do on the side. Like these are like my drawings. But before it was more of like a portfolio, of like, oh, if like it shows a little bit more of your personality, I guess, on Instagram. It's like a mini portfolio, I guess. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I feel like people get pressured into like needing to have that as like something for a job, like to get a job. And I don't think it's true in a sense. Like it doesn't matter like how many followers you have to like. I think it just matters of like
Oh, I see.
the drawings. Like if someone likes your
Yeah.
drawings and recommendations, like word of mouth, I guess. So it's
Mhm.
easy to kind of like share your Instagram like that for a quick like look of what your drawings are like or who you are a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I feel like I don't know. I want people not to feel pressured, or like at least young artists, like you're saying, the people who are mostly listening, like to not feel pressured that they have to like have Instagram to get a job or something like that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because I feel like so you said that you were like working a lot on your Instagram when you
Mhm.
were waiting to hear back from Disney,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And how long did it take for them to get back to you?
So when I applied, it took like maybe 2 months, just because like it was just the application, right? And they were obviously getting like everyone's application.
Mm,
And then after the interview, it took like maybe another month to hear back from them. Is
mm,
what I'm trying to remember because it was like a little while ago. So it was about like 2 3 months I didn't hear anything like an official of like starting that training program.
Mm-hmm.
mm.
So it was just me like yeah, I was just like drawing and being like okay, if I don't get that, I'll continue trying to get like freelance job work.
Mhm.
Yeah, actually one of my first jobs that I got was through Twitter though, because of word
Oh,
of
Oh
mouth.
really?
Like it
yeah.
was recommended. I did a little bit of work on Unikitty
Mm-hmm.
for
Oh
character
yeah.
design. Yeah, my friend like recommended me Janet, and she was like they were looking for somebody, and then she like sent her my work, and then they were like, hey, like I like your work. Like, do you want to do some design? So I was like, oh sure. I didn't know what I was doing because character design is very different from feature, like TV design and feature. And I was going more into feature,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, so this is character design for TV. I was like, this is really hard. I'm like, but I'm gonna do my best because they're asking me to do this job.
Talk about that. Talk about the difference between the two, because that's interesting.
Yeah, so the experience that I had with them, it was more of like so they when they're doing storyboards, they have like special boards that sometimes the designs are kind of rough, so you have to draw the normal design over that board, so they're like clean enough because they
Mm,
send them overseas, so you kind of have to like understand the character and like the turnaround and draw that special
Mm-hmm.
pose, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have to if they're adding new characters you have to try to like draw in that style of the show,
Yeah.
and it was fun to do it. I had a simple like character to do, and I drew Unikitty in some special poses, but it was kind of hard. I was like, oh man, like I don't know how to draw them that well, but I'm gonna do my best of like drawing these because it was like for the job. And then compared to feature you have it's a lot different because you're designing characters and you have a lot more time to explore, and you're gonna do turnarounds as well. But it's like maybe you're gonna be working on a character for like a month or two, like for a while, you know?
Yeah, it's more like concepts
Concepts,
than
yeah,
just designs and model sheets. Yeah.
yeah. And I think
Interesting.
you do get to that point, but it's like after kind of like going through so many drawings, and in TV,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're working on the project from the beginning, right? Like you're doing those concepts, then you're kind of doing something
Mm-hmm.
similar. But if the show is already going, like you have to know how to draw in that style, or at least like kind of have similar like style to it,
Yeah.
which is really cool. Like, I think that's awesome. But I found that it was really hard to do. I was like, okay, if I'm ever doing character design, I don't know if I could do it for TV. Like
I see.
for maybe like concept, but not when it's like on air, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's important to know. I think that I've definitely heard a lot of students and people who don't quite know how the industry works that they'll say like, I want to work as a concept artist. And it's
Hmm.
like that doesn't really exist, but it does, like you said, like it well, that's usually the response that people will give is that doesn't exist. And that
Right.
is true but not true because as you've said, like there is those jobs, but you have to be fucking amazing. And it's like incredibly
Right.
competitive and hard to get those positions. So it's not a
Yeah.
good goal to strive
I feel
for.
like concept art is something you do either in feature
Hmm.
at the very beginning, or like throughout the project, or it's something, or you have to be like the either like supervising, like wait, what's it called? What's the actual
Like lead.
description of lead? Yeah, lead character design, or even like art director
Right.
could
Hmm.
possibly do
Hmm.
concept art. Showrunners do concept art as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
but
they
it's
do.
like really, yeah, I feel like it's like leadership positions that will get to do these kind of like in TV, at least in TV, it would be definitely like, yeah,
Right.
art director or character designer who would do
It
the
happens.
concepts.
It happens, but it's yeah. My point is more so that like it's not a good goal to strive for, because it's like that's something you get to. That's a point that you get to. That's not a job that you can just be hired for necessarily.
Right. And it's really rare, I think,
That's tough.
if you do. But I think you're right.
Yeah.
Like, it's like after experiences you had before, they might pick you up to be like, "Can you do concept design for us?" You know, or like,
Right.
yeah, for sure.
You got to be like a little bit of a celebrity already. Like you have to. That's how I see it. It's
Yeah.
like it's something if they can see your work and they're like, we want your specific vision or your specific skill set.
Yeah.
We want you to concept this stuff. But it's like that's a lot. That's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I drew that. Do you guys remember that helicopter cat?
Oh my god, I remember that video. No.
I was like,
I was wondering what
I did it wrong.
this helicopter cat was.
I was like, let me go something basic. I feel so bad, but whatever, it happened. It kind of came out of my brain.
Hey, go for it. Whatever. I'm drawing a cat in a mech suit. That was a prompt, though.
It was a prompt, yeah.
Yeah, tell us, like, what are your influences? Like, what kind of stuff inspired you when you were first starting out, and like, what are some of your favorite media? It doesn't have to be animation; it can be anything.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, I gotta think about this. Wait, can you repeat the question again? I like started thinking about the helicopter cat.
You're still thinking about helicopter cat?
I was like, where did I? Sorry, okay.
There's just like a thought bubble above your head,
yeah.
as I'm talking, and it's just
like,
helicopter cat.
Wait.
Just thinking about that cat.
Thinking about the helicopter cat.
Just wondering, like, what your influences are. Like, what kind of stuff inspired you when you were a kid, and even now, like, what kind of stuff motivates you?
Yeah. Well, obviously, like, as a kid, for me, it was still like very much like animation.
Sure.
And comics. I actually started reading a lot of comics when I was younger, but like the strip comics, like from the newspaper.
Oh yeah.
Or like old comics from like the library. I read like Opus. I don't know if you guys heard of Opus before.
No.
It's like this penguin. Actually, it's kind of like interesting. I used to read that a lot, and Trump is in this comic strip, which I didn't know. Like, it was like, now I connected. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know who this person was. But in the comics, he gets like hit by this anchor, and his brain is transferred into this like cat. So he's a cat. Anyways, but the
really?
comic, yeah, I'll have to like link you guys what the comics look like. But I used to.
I've seen this. I'm looking at it now. Yeah. I've seen it.
I believe I'm pretty sure it's Trump, but
I'm gonna see. I'm gonna investigate.
Okay.
Well, he's always been a celebrity, before being a president.
Yeah, he's been around for like since the 80s.
Yeah. So I figured it's him. But those comics were really fun, and there was another one with like this cat and dog. It wasn't Garfield, but it was like Scratch something. It was Fuzz and something. But those like influenced me a lot when I was a little bit younger, and I think like that came from now that I'm drawing a lot more cats and dogs. Now that I think about it, that's probably why. So those like old school artists, and yeah, like watching a lot of animated movies was like my thing. Every time I would go to the movie theater, I would come home and like try to draw my favorite moments in the movie. Like, I have these like drawings of like Shrek when I went to go see Shrek at the theater, and like when they turn the second movie, when they turn themselves like really like handsome, like.
Did you draw handsome Shrek?
Yeah, and I drew the donkey like being like a stallion, like.
Oh my gosh, let's draw them on the
oh
next
my god,
page.
okay.
Let's draw
And I have to I might have to share that soon. I have it in I had a journal before, and I would like write and then like draw that. And then let's see. Yeah, so like movies inspired me a lot. Glenn Keane was like one of like the top people that I was like, I just love how loose he is when he's drawing, and how he's like the way he was like animating, and the designs too. And then just things that inspired me a lot in art, like besides animation, would be like sculptures. I get like really into like sculptures, or just like typography is really cool too.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the way I like the process of it, and it's so like tedious, I guess, that I'm like, wow, like, this is kind of cool. Like, how can I put that in my designs? Like, the way the shapes or colors, or just like in sculptures too, like how the shapes within that as well, or the textures that they leave. Like, I try to leave on the sculpture. I try to put that like in my drawings.
Yeah.
And like like old school illustrations from like books, like old school books.
Mm-hmm.
Like the golden,
like the little
books.
golden books, or even like random like ads with like illustrations from like the 50s or something like that is really cool.
Oh yeah.
I just like staring at them and be like, how can I put that in my drawing? Like, how can I like steal? Right? Because everyone's like stealing things from like other people and like trying to put it in their work. So yeah, just like trying to mix all that together and being like, what's my quote unquote style? What everybody like tries to like get, which doesn't really exist. I think it's just kind of like something that keeps changing, you know, like your style.
Yeah.
And
it should, you know, like you're absorbing information, you're seeing other people's work, and you want to like incorporate it. So
yeah,
it'd be weird if somebody had the same. Can you imagine if somebody had the exact same art style for like 10 years? It's like, man,
they never change.
I mean, I feel like that happens though. Like some artists that are like that became popular with one style, you know,
right?
And then they just keep doing the style forever.
I guess if you can make a career out of it, but I don't know
if I could do it. I feel like
no.
I feel like I would get bored too fast.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like, I feel like I get bored of the same thing, and I just want to keep learning. I'm like, can I challenge myself again? Can I paint like this person, or like, let me see if I can draw like them.
Yeah. I think it's funny. It's like I definitely felt the same way when I was a teenager, but when you're kind of starting out, there's such a pressure to like find your style.
Yeah.
And, like, you have to like, this is my style. And like everyone's always really into showing off their style. And I did the same thing. And then you outgrow it and you realize, like, especially once you kind of start like getting into the industry and you're like, oh wait, that's bad. You should be flexible. Like it's better to have versatility than be like, this is how I draw things and fuck off if you don't like it. Like that's not gonna get you a job.
But it is very much like a teenager kind of, or like youngish adult, where you're like, well, I only draw black and white, like no color for me, like because I was very much that kid. I'm like, color, like, oh, that's so hard. I'm like, no, I should try it a little bit, you know, who knows.
I relate to that a lot because I feel like for the longest time, especially because a lot of foundation drawing is all like hatching and just like black and white and like pencil. Like I was like terrible with color for the longest time, and then until very recently, I feel like probably when I just moved to the States, I was just like, I have a shit ton of alcohol markers. I just need to use them. I thought
you were gonna say I had a shit ton of alcohol.
That's why I'm like, did I miss something?
I just got drunk.
I just got fucking wasted.
And I was like,
sniffed some markers.
No, but like I had like all these alcohol markers, like a Copic or like, and like, you know, like the brands like Prismacolor and all that. And I was just like, I'm just gonna use them. I don't care. I'm just gonna use all these markers until like they ran out of ink, and then when that happens, I'll know how to use color. Right? That's how it works, and it is how it works. Like now, I feel a lot more confident with color.
Yeah, I love the way you use color. Like I remember just watching you at work. I'm like, how did she do that? And it's like monochromatic. I'm like, how how's she doing this? And I'm like, I don't even know how to use color. I'm like, so green and purple, is that okay? This is
sure, why not? That's Evangelion colors in Ava Unit 1.
Oh yeah. So
it's a sick color combination. Yeah, I think part of that is also when you're younger, you know, it's like the whole search for an identity thing, and so it's like it's part of that. I think it's like you're creating an aesthetic for yourself, and so I get it, but
also it's a way of like, I don't know, sometimes just kind of like hiding behind, like, you know, I think that's kind of like, I mean, if you have an identity, that's great, but if it's just like an excuse to like, you know, hide your like flaws, then that's not as great. you know, like being like, oh, that's my style. It's like, is it really, or is it just
where it's like, I don't draw hands. Hands are dumb. Just put them in pockets.
Hands are hard. I had a moment where I was like, I got to figure out
Hands are hard, yeah.
And I just like kept working on it. I think I've definitely gotten away with never having learned the fundamentals, really. I feel like I just have found shortcuts around drawing anything the right way. But maybe everyone feels that way. I don't know. How do you feel?
I also like took a shortcut from fundamentals, but now I'm like going back and being like, okay, I gotta learn these things.
Yeah, filling in the blanks.
Especially for storyboarding, like like I didn't really know about it, and I was like, oh, I have to learn perspective because of camera and like backgrounds and all this stuff. Of like, oh shit, like I don't really know it that well. Like I can fake a little bit, but then there's some stuff where I'm like, oh, I should really learn a little bit more with like perspective.
Yeah. Perspective is wild. Yeah. I think on one hand, I understand why people have a hard time with it. On the other, I feel like once you figure out the really, really like base rules of it, the rest is just like fudging it, because it's like, there's like 1 point, which is obviously very easy. 2 point, that's like a little tricky. 3 point, fuck that. But you don't need it. Nobody's ever gonna need it.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, and that's insane. I had to do it all the time for V's storyboards on Loud House. And no, I'm just kidding. We talk about it all the time on here.
That's a running gag.
At this point, it's a running gag.
Like my boys were not that hard.
No, they weren't. But they were. But I think that it's not that challenging. It's like, as long as you're following those vanishing points, you can actually get away with a lot. And sometimes, even when I was working on Loud House, I would like sometimes it was better for things not to line up with the vanishing points for the sake of the shot. And because composition is more important than rigid perspective. And so that's something I want to put out there into the universe. It's like, don't worry that hard about it.
Yeah. I guess sometimes at least because like I'm working on Spidey, and like perspective sometimes has to be really pushed, and I'm like, oh man, like I don't understand how this works, and like it breaks my brain of like how to draw. Yeah. Well,
especially for boards. I think for boards, it's like, as long as it's close, as long as you can get a feeling for what the shot composition is, I mean, how many boards just have a character and then just like a grid, like a grid in perspective, a sloppy grid behind them. That's just,
like this. It's like I'm drawing it on a Jamboard, but like that, or like it's just like
it'll be like it'll be like a character, and it'll be like they're like, oh, what? And then behind them is just like that. Close enough.
I feel like it also depends on the show, though. I feel like there's like some shows where like depending on like your EP or like your supervising director, some shows will want the perspective to be super, super, super tight, because it kind of depends on like who they're sending the boards to. Like if they're sending the boards to a studio that like, and it's all about trust. Like, if like the studio that is working from the boards hasn't really shown work that was strong enough in the eyes of the EP and the supervising director, then you're probably gonna have to be pretty accurate. But if there's like a lot of trust and like the other studio is doing well, then like you can be a little bit more relaxed.
If I could draw like how we're drawing now with these circles and sticks, I would be happy now.
I know. Sometimes I like look at these like older SpongeBob boards, and like sometimes it's like mostly like the character. Like there's a little bit of background. There's like a couple lines.
This is my sample of storyboards. Okay.
Yeah, the sky. It's just the sky perspective.
Yeah.
This is how you got hired at Disney.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good. That's all you need. That's all the information you need.
Yeah.
How do you deal with creative block, and how does it look to you? How does it feel?
Creative block. To me, it feels like when I just don't have the energy to draw, even though like I have this idea that I want to do, and that in like if I try to draw it and I'm drawing it over and over again, like that's to me is like a creative block. Like I don't get that like that happy feeling or like kind of fun feeling to draw it, and I just have to like put it away because I'm like, okay, I'm trying too hard. When I'm trying too hard, that means like I need to stop. If that makes sense.
Sure.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I usually just try to like not draw. Like I either will look at art of books or watch the movies or go out and coffee sketch. So then I'm just like drawing people, and I'm not drawing like what I'm trying to draw, I guess, which is kind of weird because like I'm drawing, but it feels to me like that creative block to me that I've experienced is that like I can't be creative with I don't know, I like get stuck.
I agree with that a
Yeah,
lot. I feel like going to like life drawing classes or doing like observation
yeah,
sketches has always kind of gotten me out of a rut
uh-huh.
because it's like you don't have to think so much. You're just trying to copy what is in front of your eyes,
Exactly.
but your hand is still moving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like I try not to think about it too much, or really just do something else.
Mm.
Like I just kind of won't do it for like a day, like won't draw for a day and go do something else because yeah, it's just like frustrating when I try to draw it and it just is not coming out right. Or you guys ever feel like when you are motivated and you're like, I'm gonna draw this really cool like thing and it's gonna come out really cool and you get to it, you're like, this freaking sucks. Like I can't, like I don't know what's going on. Why I can't draw this?
Yeah.
To me, like that feels like a creative block because it's
Hmm.
like I'm trying too hard. I'm trying too hard to make it look good, and that's not the point. It's like I'm just trying to draw something for fun for me.
You know what? I feel like that's really true. Like I used to like I feel like before I used to kind of like have pictures in my brain and be like, I'm gonna draw exactly what's in my brain.
Yeah.
And that has always kind of gotten me in like bad mental
Mhm.
places because
Mm-hmm.
it's like
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
it's impossible to recreate exactly what's in your brain.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. And it's
But when you're
frustrating.
just kind of like having fun, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
I wonder if anybody ever gets to that point, or if it's just like I
Mhm.
wonder if there's any artist that's gotten good enough to where they can perfectly put down on paper what's in their head, or if your brain becomes better at knowing what your hands are capable of. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
Like I
Yeah.
wonder if it meets in the middle at some point, because I do feel like
Mhm.
as I've gotten older and better at what I do,
Mhm.
I know what I know my limits, and so
Yeah.
the ideas that I come up with in my head, I'm like, I think this is what the character should look like
Yeah.
before I even draw it. I'm
Yeah.
like, I think I can draw that. I've created limits for
Yeah.
myself in
Yeah.
my own head. I'm like, I think I can draw that,
Yeah.
and so I feel a little more confident.
I'm more just kind of like I feel like I kind of completely let go of things that are inside my head. Like except
Mhm.
for boards.
Sure.
Boards I have like a very hazy idea what
Yeah,
the camera
that's
should be
Mhm.
like.
different.
But I
Yeah.
feel like at most of the time it's kind of more trial and error.
Mhm.
I That's kind of more my mode of doing it.
Yeah. I'm like trying to think now.
Do you ever like have those images in your brain?
So I'm like that's what I was thinking about. I'm like, yeah, there's some days where I feel like I think only when I do know how to draw a thing, like how you guys are saying, or like my go-to will be a cat. Like I have like these three top like animals that I draw, which is a cat, a wolf, or like an alligator, and that would kind of like help
Mm.
me that break that creative block, just because I already know how to draw it, and then go from there to be
Mm.
like, okay, like let me try other stuff, and then that will kind of like motivate me a little bit more from breaking
Right.
that. Yeah, after I've done like other stuff, but
We have some good questions that
okay,
I'd love to ask that we got
sure.
from Twitter.
Hmm.
Question from at Nicholas Drawings.
Hmm.
What to do when you can't come up with an idea for a character design, or when you get stuck with no designs that you like or consider good?
Hmm. Well, it depends. Like if I'm doing it for myself, I feel like what I do is I'll just do like random shapes and then pick the theme that I want to do that I'm designing the character and kind of like place it on those
Yeah.
shapes. And that's just kind of like a fun way to like loosen up a little bit, like a warm up. But if it's for work, well, you can do this for yourself too. But like for work, I would probably do like a lot more research, like references, or like kind of write down like what I want the character to look like or feel like before even drawing. I feel like that helps a lot too. Because
Sure.
it's like that creative block we were talking about a little bit, where like if you are drawing and like
Mm-hmm.
nothing is coming up, it gets frustrating. So sometimes just looking at photos or like even videos or music you feel like might feel like this character helps a lot, I think.
Yeah.
And it helps me. Like it's like it refreshes my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
And then what was the second question? Or what was the
I think you answered
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
So what do you do when you get stuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I get stuck. You know, most of the time when I'm trying to figure something out, I know what I'm trying to accomplish. But there's been moments, a lot of moments, where I didn't have a good like you said, like a good shape for a
Mm-hmm.
character, or even like a strong enough inspiration for their look. And yeah, like just getting outside of your own head and like I have a shitload of stuff that I've liked on Tumblr,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll sometimes even go back to DeviantArt
Oh
and just
yeah.
cycle through all of these like pieces that I saved from years ago
Yeah.
that did something for me at some point.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
like, all right, time to refresh my
Mm-hmm.
my inspiration. And it's happened a lot where I'll find a piece from some other artist that's like 10 years old and I'm like, ooh, that character they drew once is got enough interesting stuff to it that I can kind of take in, you know, repurpose and
Yeah.
whatever. And some people might call that stealing, but they're wrong because everyone is stealing from
Oh
something.
yeah.
Everyone is always using and reusing, and you know,
I totally agree with that.
it's just
Especially if you're like
yeah.
you're doing it for yourself, you know, you're not like obviously tracing anything like this is mine.
No,
Like
it's
yeah,
transformative.
yeah.
Yeah, and I know that that's just like, and how many creations have there been even in writing
Mm-hmm.
where it was clearly somebody liked a movie and they wanted to do their take on it, you
Yeah.
know, and then
Yeah.
it becomes its own thing.
Oh yeah.
There's no shame in that. All art is transformative
Mm-hmm.
and remixed and redone.
I feel like
So
one thing I kind of miss from like the before social media era was like I used to be subscribed to a lot more blogs like Fubbies or like Boom, you know, the one like Boom with like a lot of O's, like, and those were like kind of like art
Uh-huh.
related, and those were great because it wasn't just animation, but it was also like you had architecture
Mm-hmm.
and photography and like fashion and
Right.
all of these different like art mediums were like featured on those websites, and I really miss that because I felt like it gave a lot of, I wouldn't say edge, but like in terms of like creativity and inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
those were so great because you could kind of go and like scroll on those
Yeah.
until you kind of like vibe with the post and you're like, oh, how can I kind of have that in my character design,
Yeah.
like, you know, even though you're looking at like I don't know, abandoned like swimming pools or whatever, you're like, oh, maybe there's like a vibe in there, I
But
don't
it's
know,
a
you
cool
know.
like resource to have. Like I've never been to that or
Yeah.
the what's it called Boom? It's called Boom? Or
Yeah, one of them is
yeah,
like Boom with
right.
like probably 6 or 8 O's.
whoa,
Uh, and one of them was Fubbies. And they still exist, they're still around,
Right.
but
But I
yeah.
think it's good, like you're
indeed,
saying, to have resources like that, or like a library of just besides like art, like you're saying, architecture and like fashion, because that does help a
sure,
lot too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have a book of what is it, fruits. It's like there was
I
like
love
those.
that.
Yeah, it's like the Japanese magazine, I think,
Yeah.
that's just like all the crazy fashion, and it's like most of it's absurd, but you know, you can get ideas out of it, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's cool. Like I'm gonna have
Look
a
at this
character with
fruit.
whatever.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I want to
checkerboard.
see this book now.
Have you never seen it? Oh, it's well, it's called Fruits, but it's just like Harajuku, not Harajuku. What is it called? It's like all the crazy fashion, you know, in Japan, like
Oh,
all
okay.
the
It's like a area where like the fashionistas would
yeah.
I
would
see.
hang out. Yeah, yeah. Harajuku.
Yeah, Harajuku, that's right. I don't know why I was second guessing myself. I've been there twice.
Mm.
And it's actually not as wild as people make it out to be. There's like an occasional person that looks wacky, but it's a lot of just people.
I think it's just like also when people were like writing these guides, like
Right.
Japan wasn't as like less
That's true.
traveled, I guess,
It's
as
probably,
you.
yeah, compared to everywhere else, I guess that was wild. I have another question from at Devon1224.
Okay.
What project are you the most proud of? What are some cool non-animation influences on your work? So 2 questions.
Okay. Well, I feel like for character design, one of the proudest projects I did was the recent one I did with Arlo, Arlo the alligator. I did some concept art for
Oh, cool.
the frog, Jeremiah, or
Oh, yeah.
Jeromeo, I think. Yeah, Jeromeo.
Yeah.
And I believe Aunt Edna is her name. I'm like, it was a while ago, and I'm
Hmm.
like trying to remember the names. But that, even though I worked on it for like a little bit of time, I'm pretty proud of those like drawings that I did for them, and they kind of like helped push the other character designers that were part of it. So that was really fun to do, and I mean, I love those frogs. I'm so proud of them.
Yeah, that movie looks great.
Yeah,
That's awesome that you were part of that.
yeah. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's a lovely, lovely movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing would be the project I'm on right now on Spider-Man. It's my first time as a story artist, like on a feature film. So there's some sequences I can't talk about obviously now, but
yeah,
I've been pretty like proud to see like how long I've come from the beginning, even from like the training program I had at Disney to like where I am now, where I'm like, wow, like I did that. Like that's kind of cool. Like I'll like surprise myself a little bit, but yeah, I'm pretty proud of like what I've done so far for the movie, and just like all the help I've had with it with like all these story artists and our lead storyboard. I'm like forgetting names right now, like the titles of names. But yeah, I've been learning a lot on Spider-Man, so I'm pretty proud.
Cool. From @ThoughtCarry,
Mm-hmm.
what's something that happened in your career that was unexpected?
I'm trying to think. And like, what do you mean? Like, I'm trying to think like unexpected things.
I assume they mean like, you know, a sudden turn of events that you thought maybe things would happen a certain way and then they ended up going a different way.
Well, I guess
good or bad.
Yeah. Well, I guess in my career I want to do like full-time like character design, and so storyboarding kind of like came out of nowhere. So that was kind of like a big change for me, and I felt like I was kind of thrown in the deep end of like storyboarding because I had no idea really what it was about. Except for just like drawing like a sequence. So that was like a big game changer for me until like what I'm doing now. But yeah, that would be it.
Cool.
That was great. Yeah.
What kind of goals do you have for your career, for your future as an artist? Do you want to stay in boards? Would you want to go back to design?
Yeah, I definitely want to like explore with character design again, but I've been kind of like loving the challenge of like storyboarding. So I'm in between of like staying in boards or going back to design. But either way, I'm like thankful for like any job that I can get within those things. And then yeah, like I think later on in the future I want to like work create like a project, like a movie later on. So I feel like that's something like in the works where I want to put like my voice out there and tell a story about like my background as a Mexican American woman and explore more of the like culture and like traditions we have and like all that like magic and not like Day of the Dead, but the other part of it where we have like what do you call it in English? You know how we have like the boogeyman and all that stuff like here in like America, but like in Mexico they have like that versions of that stuff. So I want to like do something like folk tale, folklore in like Mexico. Yeah. So I'm like exploring that, and hopefully I could do something with that in the future. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you do.
I hope so too.
And you can have moms throwing their shoes
at
kids. I learned something today. I learned something about Mexican culture.
That would be the plot of the movie is that shoe that traveled.
That's the whole. It's the whole. That's really funny though. Like a full hour and a half movie.
Of the shoe traveling. Like.
Yeah. The shoe's like stopping at like a diner late at night. It's just like I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get that
like
kid.
hitting people, like
smoking cigarettes. Yeah.
So their whole life.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
each other.
It's like It Follows, but it's a shoe. That's really funny.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, write it down. I need a stake in that, so you're gonna have to give me percentages on that.
Of course.
I need 5% on all income.
And the mom like just kind of like calls up the diner, the phone rings, and it's the mom at the end of the line. You gotta stop! It's been going on for too long.
Yeah, and it just like hangs up, no. Like with that.
Yeah, sorry.
Like, no, a job's a job.
A job's a job.
You see the shadow, like the cast shadow of like the sandal or whatever it is, like all creepy.
Yeah.
It's like it's got to be done, and the kid's like, "Oh shit!"
That's
like,
so good.
Yeah.
Oh fuck!
It's coming. The kid like grows up as like a whole family, and they're always on the run, and they're like, Dad, why are you?
It's been years. Dad? Wait, he's a dad now.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
whole
it's
life
like going on for
story.
decades.
Yeah. It's just called like El Zapato.
El Zapato. Oh my god, it's so dramatic. That
This is good. Let's pitch this. All right, we're gonna this is, when we disconnect from this call, we're gonna make
get
some
onto
meetings.
that.
We're gonna.
This is honestly one of the things I miss, like to have. Like V and I like did this all the time. We just like banter about like random, like
Yeah.
Like random
stories.
ideas.
We have a Teletubby one. I don't know if she's told you about it, but we have a Teletubbies.
Teletubbies. Oh,
pitch
that one's so good.
that we
That was so
wanted to
good.
about the rejected Teletubby that never made it
It's
into the
like-
team.
Yeah, they like all grew up,
Yeah.
and now they're all like, Teletubbies went out of fashion, and they're all like jaded dads. Like one's a mechanic now. And it's just like, I don't know.
One's a mechanic.
And one day like they all get like a phone call, and it's like Teletubbies have to reunite because like the one that couldn't make it to the show like has gone like completely crazy and wants to
Yeah.
destroy the earth. And so
What was it? Uwu? We called it Uwu. It was
yeah, his name's
Oh.
Uwu.
because it's little like
Because
antenna.
he doesn't have a
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
He's the one that doesn't have the TV in his belly.
Oh, okay. So he's like handicapped. Interesting.
Remember that drawing we did where he was trying to put a TV in his body?
Oh, that's dark.
I know.
Just like crying,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I know I can be like you.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, this is whack.
This is what I.
Anyway.
I watched Teletubbies recently, and like
Oh,
on
really?
one hand, it's a very well produced show.
Right.
It's very interesting, but on the other hand, like what the fuck is that show? It is like 4 aliens with TV bellies, and the sun is a baby, and there's a vacuum that they like party with, and it's
Okay, I
don't get it.
remember them talking, but I saw one where they do talk. Right? They talk to each other.
They talk.
Like yeah. Okay.
yeah.
I don't know why in my mind.
Well, they
I thought,
I think it's like they don't have like full sentences. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they're like clean up time. I don't know. They say weird shit.
Oh my god.
Thank
Were
you,
you doing
Wendy.
research? Why were you watching Teletubbies?
I don't know. It's quarantine.
I was gonna say, imagine that's the only show we had to watch during the quarantine the
Yeah.
whole year. No, like that was the only
I
thing
don't-
providing for us.
I don't remember the context. I think I was just like watching stuff on YouTube, and it came up, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I was like, "Why not?" I've run out of things to
Things
watch.
to watch,
Let's watch
yeah.
Teletubbies.
There are too many things to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's telling me to watch all these good shows, and I'm like, "Nah, man."
That's
Teletubbies.
funny.
Really?
Well, that's a good place to end this.
Teletubbies, great. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, Teletubbies. That's the end of this creative block. Thanks to Stephanie for being our guest and sharing her story.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
And thanks to our listeners.
No? Yes.
Follow us on Twitter. It's at Creative Blog, creative without the vowels, where we ask for drawing prompts and questions to ask your guests. Huge thanks to my sister Clemens for editing the podcast.
Please subscribe to the channel if you love our content. I've been your host, Gene.
And I was V. Keep being creative, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.